Let's talk about UFC fighters and their aura. Aura is like the amount of good energy a person brings into the room. Like when they walk into a room, do they have like a really good vibe about them? Do they have this kind of magnetic energy that just makes people feel really drawn to them? And can they make others feel intimidated? So for this video, I've put together a list of UFC fighters I think have incredible aura. First has to be Islam Makhachev, the UFC lightweight champion and #1 pound for pound king. When Islam walks out to his theme tune Dreams by DJ Nariman, I swear he just really brings that air of intimidation, and everyone is just so fearful to see what he's gonna do to their favorite fighter next. There's even this really funny TikTok about it. And only someone with so much aura like Islam can pull off coming out to a theme tune that has no words or lyrics. I literally listen to this song on the treadmill and honestly it gives you so much energy. When Islam walks out to this song, he honestly looks so comfortable, so happy and ready. He really has so much aura in his walkout. He's not doing anything dramatic or silly, he's really just himself. Even in his last walkout against Dustin Poirier at UFC 302, you could honestly hear some of the boos from the crowd come over the song, but Islam still walked out with so much power and he even had a bit of a grin on his face. Only someone with so much aura and confidence in themselves can overcome that amount of boos and still go on to put on such an incredible fight. So for me, Islam is one of those fighters that just has a super strong mentality. He doesn't need any gimmicks or doesn't need to do anything silly to make others feel intimidated. He is simply himself and that is enough. I think anybody stood opposite him in the cage would feel intimidated. The second thing for me about Islam Makhachev has to be his iconic one-liners. Like, remember this interview with Daniel Cormier when he was telling him to leave his son in Dagestan with minimal contact?
If you want your son high-level wrestling, send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
3 years!
And honestly, I don't think anyone will ever get over the ending to Islam versus Volkanovski at UFC 294. There was so much debate around the first fight at UFC 284 and literally everyone was going on for ages saying that Volkanovski was robbed. But then Islam did really show everybody up with that first round knockout victory in Abu Dhabi. You rarely see videos or clips of Islam being super serious, but from the ending to this fight, it's clear that Islam was so stoic, didn't have really much emotion and just wanted everyone to shut up. In this moment, Makhachev gave off massive amounts of aura. And since then, let's be serious, has anyone even brought up the whole Islam and Volk debate again? So moving on, the second fighter has to be the current light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira. So Alex Pereira has just been on this super active knockout spree in the UFC, most recently against Khalil Roundtree at UFC 307. Oh my gosh, what a fight. The state of Khalil Roundtree's face at the end of that, I don't think people will be forgetting that brutal image anytime soon. And only a fighter with a huge amount of aura could do damage like this. So honestly, Alex Pereira's knockout spree in the UFC is more than enough to say he has a huge amount of aura. Like, he is literally one of the biggest stars in the sports industry today. Alex Pereira always has this really iconic walkout routine, and then he does that whole bow and arrow thing where he aims at his opponent in the octagon. And honestly, when he does it, I actually really believe it and I feel like he is so serious. He does that scream as well, and honestly, it makes me feel scared. For me, this moment every time just screams so much aura. Like, honestly, just look at his face. And it's not just me, even the biggest, literally, physically and career-wise, the biggest fighters in the world have said that Alex Pereira has so much aura. Remember this clip of Tyson Fury, the heavyweight boxing champion, who met Alex Pereira, I think about a year ago, and he was so amazed to see how big Alex Pereira was in real life. I think Alex Pereira stands around 6'4" and Tyson Fury is around 6'9". So for someone as big as Tyson Fury to feel that air of intimidation around Alex Pereira just says enough. We can definitely say Alex Pereira exudes maximum levels of aura. aura. And then we have the current interim heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall, who even said he felt that air of intimidation from Alex Pereira. And he himself is also huge and physically intimidating. Here's what Tom Aspinall had to say.
Frosty when I met him. And I don't know him personally, I didn't know if he was just like that. We did the press conference. When I heard that he wants to move up to heavyweight, I wasn't surprised. I felt like he was like sizing me up a little bit.
So the next fighter has to be the one and only undefeated Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev definitely has the aura many men want. He is such a big draw and he really gets all the fans so excited. Like, remember this moment before his fight began with Kamaru Usman and he was doing this crazy thing with his eyes. Literally all the fans went crazy. One of my favorite ever Khamzat Chimaev aura-filled moments has to be at UFC 273 when he was literally sat on the octagon waiting for Gilbert Burns to make his entrance and he has Darren Till behind him. As if he was just sat on the park bench. He was so super relaxed and comfortable. That fight with Gilbert Burns was so iconic and so brutal. Even though both fighters were so battered and bloody after that vicious fight, it was so cool to see Khamzat go backstage and just thank him for such an incredible fight. I think this was such a special moment. It showed true strength and character from Khamzat Chimaev and was definitely an aura-filled moment for sure. Again, it just shows Khamzat Chimaev has so much aura around him. He really cares about his opponent. He's a true professional in the sport. He knows how to compose himself. And he's definitely someone who has maximum levels of aura. Another thing I want to point out is a major reason I think Khamzat Chimaev has huge amounts of aura. And that is because he can literally draw in crowds and crowds of people. Like, I will literally never get over this video when he came to visit the UK and there was literally a massive crowd of people who shut down the street and were literally almost like breaking into this restaurant to try and meet Khamzat Chimaev. Even he himself looked quite shocked about it, and I think it was at that moment he probably realized how famous he really was and how much aura he really has. As I said at the beginning of this video, only somebody with aura has that magnetic energy to draw people in, and that is something that Khamzat Chimaev can undoubtedly do. The fans absolutely love him. Oh yeah, and let's not forget how Khamzat Chimaev has had so many aura-filled moments on the mic. Especially this moment at the end of his fight where he was literally screaming down the mic that he wanted to kill everybody. This moment went viral and people will never forget it.
Everybody, I'm coming for everybody! Kill everybody! They can't get everybody!
Again, I think Khamzat Chimaev has so much aura during his walkouts. Like, remember this walkout where he literally ran to the octagon for a walkout. How iconic. So the last fighter I'm going to speak about is Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, we haven't seen Shavkat fight in a while since he took on Wonderboy Thompson roughly a year ago. But undoubtedly, Shavkat has that aura. So one Shavkat aura moment that is always stuck in my head is when he choked out Jeff Neal at UFC 285. It was literally the most brutal ever standing choke, and we don't see standing chokes that often. Like, that is something you would probably expect to see more in a street fight. For me, it was just so brutal. He literally choked him out, let him drop to the floor, and just kind of walked away with a bit of a grin, smirk, or laugh. That was so cool, but it definitely increased Shavkat's levels of aura. Like, everyone's eyes were just on him and couldn't believe what they saw. So yes, I think that moment just really established Shavkat Rakhmonov as a fighter with crazy amounts of aura. But let's be serious, Shavkat's 18-0 record, all wins by finishes, just really screams aura anyway. Let's even talk about Shavkat's appearance. He is really tall, and when he puts on that traditional Kazakh headdress, I think it makes him look even more intimidating. Shavkat doesn't really seem to speak much English, as we've seen in press conferences, but when he does sit there, he has a bit of a smile on his face. He does speak when asked. I think that just shows that he is a super friendly person, but behind all that, there is definitely a killer, and that for me just screams aura. So honestly, I am so looking forward to seeing him back in action, and hopefully that's this December for UFC 310 in Las Vegas. But of course, to see that fight, I'm probably going to be up till 7 a.m. So before I get absolutely sick of saying the word aura, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know which fighters you think have incredible aura. Let me know what you agree and disagree with. There are so many fighters in the world that have aura, boxers also, not just UFC fighters, so drop any names of fighters that have aura in the comments below. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and share and subscribe to my channel.